Merry Switchmas and Zelda, everyone.
uh, Merry Breathmas, more like.
More or less, yes.
Yeah, pretty much.
So while Johnny's off having fun at PAX, the cur.
Well, actually, he's probably on the train home right about now.
So he's probably playing the Switch right now.
Or taking a nap, more likely.
Yeah.
Whether or not he's playing the Switch is gonna have more to do with whether or not he can plug it into an outlet on the train.
I'm sure he could find something.
Depends on what he's playing, but...
Well, so, the Nintendo Switch, it's out. We know everything about it now. Except whether or not it'll have enough games within a year to really justify purchasing at this point.
Well, it's gonna have, well, hopefully it'll have, like, 2 really, really good ones. Or one really good one that's exclusive to it with Mario, but...
To be fair, how many people are overly excited about Zelda on Wii U over Switch?
I think people are just more excited to have the game than anything else. Like,
Yeah.
What system you have, it really doesn't matter.
Well, because it took typical Nintendo time of delaying it 3 to 4 times to actually release the thing.
Yeah, well, I've been playing it on the Wii U, thanks to Ryan, who lent me the money to get it before this discussion, and it runs fine. The only real problem is that in town areas, the frame rate gets down to N64 Ocarina of Time levels, but it's perfectly fine and playable. And for the most part, it runs smoothly. Just the towns and particularly grassy, rainy areas for some reason.
You haven't gone to Death Mountain, have you?
I did actually wander in there by accident, which was a mistake because I had no way of resisting heat. So I had to get the fuck out.
Yeah, trust me, the second you walk around in there and actually start doing stuff, the frame rate chugs.
I disagree. I've been playing Death Mountain for like the past 4 hours, and I haven't noticed any frame rate chugs. If you want to talk about a place that chugs, Korok Forest, man, that place runs at like 10 frames per second sometimes.
Well, I've heard it's weird between the Wii U and the Switch versions for that game, is that they both perform badly in different places. According to Ashens, like in places that run smoothly on the Wii U version will have frame rate drops in the Switch version, and vice versa. It's very weird. Probably because it was ported from the Wii U, and the optimization isn't all the way there.
Maybe it's really hard to say. To be honest with me, I haven't gotten to any of those places you guys mentioned yet, but I haven't noticed any like major frame drops where everything's just chugging. It'll freeze up every so often, not like freeze up, but it'll like stutter like for like a second and then catch back up, and I'm good to go.
It fluctuates between 30 and 15, which isn't too bad. It's in some ways it's less distracting than fluctuating from 60 to 30. But at the same time, it does happen, and it's an annoyance. And if the game weren't so good, I probably wouldn't put up with it as much as I do in this case. But before we get into Zelda and all of the spoilerific discussion that entails...
Yes, we will be spoiling it in typical DSC fashion, so...
I might have to leave at that point, because I have not beat the game yet, so hopefully no one's spoiling too much.
To at least be fair, it's Zelda, so what do you really expect too much on...
I suppose, but
I disagree.
If we were talking about Final Fantasy, maybe, but
I will say I want us to keep gameplay spoilers specifically to moderate minimum here, because
after the first hour, for the most part, after the first hour or so, Zelda, you've more or less seen what the game has to offer. It's more about how creative you are with what you have.
I disagree.
Badly. I very much disagree.
I can think of like 5 or 10 things off the top of my head that I would not want to ruin for people. Like, for example, you can, like, there's small things like, I didn't notice this rock here before. Bomb it open, there's a chest with a good weapon inside. You can expect that after a while, but even after playing for 20, 30, 40 hours, you can realize, I never explored this area quite so thoroughly, and find a mini-boss there that you didn't notice was there before. And I'm not just talking about, like, the Stone Talus or the Hinox, which you find all over the place. There are some really, really interesting hidden fights that you would not notice or even know were there if you weren't paying attention, and I would not want to ruin some of those
You mean people don't want to get spoiled about Goron Golf?
Yeah, because like there was I was paragliding over the mountains at one point, and I stopped. I veered off and landed because I saw this big ass. I'm not even gonna say what it was. It was this big monster down there. I knew it was a monster because I had my champion tunic on and I could see its health bar. I just like, what is that thing? Why is it there? And
was it a flying thing or
no? It was this big hulking behemoth kind of thing in the mountains, and I'm just staring at this thing for like two goddamn minutes. And I'm like, okay, what is this there? Is there a quest tied to it or what? Because I've only encountered one like really tough monster. I didn't manage to kill it, and I'm like, okay, if I fight this thing, I'm gonna get myself killed. I snap a picture of it and keep it in my album for later to remind myself to go back and check it out, and then I go in the other direction.
Lewis, remind me to send you my screenshots of the game, because I take them all the time, and like this is just a really fun. Like there are some parts of this game that are really striking.
Yeah,
Technically, I think that's this game's the hardware that they were trying to develop this game for really limits what they could do with it, because they were trying to do some really impressive things, and there are some points where like you see some really like there's this really cool arrangement of objects and enemies and lighting and whatnot, and the game looks dazzling at that point. But then, you know, you get to the point where you're gliding over stuff, and the kind of majesty of gliding is a little bit ruined by rocks popping in out of nowhere or something. It's an instance where if this game were made for the PS4 in mind first, then the technology would be able to keep up with the art design that they were going for, and it would.
Okay, you have no idea how much that hit me, because as people who follow my Twitter know, I was actually playing several marathon sessions of Horizon Zero Dawn before coming to this game, like directly before coming to this game. Like I am suffering severe open world burnout now, directly before coming to this game. And oh god, yeah, from a technological standpoint, Breath of the Wild really, really does suffer. It's one of those cases where a generation from now, or maybe with a Switch Pro Neo version with a better dock, they'll
AC Turbo Meat Remix.
They'll probably do a special edition and remaster thing, and it will be absolutely breathtaking.
Well, the breathtaking, again. But just that's a kind of a misconception. The dock doesn't do anything. The dock,
yeah,
is
I know,
just plastic.
but the dock does something. It scratches your goddamn screen up because it's made of plastic instead of glass. Very soft plastic that is easy to scratch, and they designed it with sharp corners on the inside. So yeah, be careful putting that thing into the dock.
I don't know why they didn't just put some like rubber things in there to keep that from happening, though. Like it's
the worst part about that is that I ordered the screen protector from Nintendo's site. It bubbles all over the place and I couldn't use it.
I hate screen protectors. It's if you don't do it perfect.
But the actual tablet for the Switch seems to be just fine. It's everything that's around the tab. Well, you know, the controllers are also good too. But everything attached to it around the tablet, they seem to have wanted to avoid the gamepad situation where they have this peripheral device packed in that jacks the price up. So the dock for the Switch is this cheapy plastic thing with just a little bit of hardware inside, and that hardware does nothing but provide HDMI pass-through, and it tells the Switch that it is plugged into the dock so that it will overclock its CPU and stop worrying about its batteries. It does not do that if you plug it into a wall. You have to put it in the dock.
Huh. Okay. Yeah, because I will say, I love playing this game on handheld mode. I know that this is something where me and Lewis disagree just because he prefers playing stuff on
you know what?
TV.
I could get behind the Switch as a handheld because it's a nice large tablet size thing, and that screen is a nice size for just about anything. It's also a 720p screen, so you're not suffering resolution either.
The screen is really nice. Like, honestly, the game, to me, resolution or not, I think it looks sharper. Well, this might just be because my TV's awful, but the game looks better on the Switch than on my TV.
I'll tell you why that is, because you're playing it at 720 on the handheld. When it's on the TV, it's 900p upscaled to 1080p. at best.
Mm-hmm. I still think it looks like art style goes a long way for me, and that has made this game just still look gorgeous, despite its perhaps technical shortcomings. Like, I don't care that rocks might pop in at some point, or that they might, they'll go behind and they'll disappear or something like that. The only time stuff like that annoys me is when I'm hunting a boar and the dang thing disappears as I'm just about to fire a shot. That's the only time that...
That's not a technical problem. That's what the game is programmed to do.
I understand that, but I still want the permanence.
If you scare bugs or animals, they'll just... I agree. I agree, Derrick. The game... I still think the game looks great. It's more... The game lives on immersion, and it's those tiny things that break you out of those immersion, even if it's just for a second. It's not anything that would, like... If we did scores, which we don't do, or I don't do... or anything, it wouldn't like knock it down from like a 9 to like 6, worst game ever or anything, but it does take you out of that moment that could, like, it could be like paragliding everywhere could be breathtaking all of the time, and instead it's only so some of the time, and it's a shame.
Perhaps I'm still early because I'm much earlier than you guys, but I haven't had a moment where I've like, oh, that takes me completely out of it. I'm just sort of looking at all like, oh, I gotta go there, I want to go there, I want to go there, look at all this stuff I gotta do.
I wouldn't say I was completely taken out of it, but I could notice it, I guess I should say. Because I will say this is probably the best 3D Zelda I've played so far. Not that I'm super, like, connected.
I have to say, you're not exactly the biggest counter for something like that. But...
Well, I do like some of the games. Like, I really liked Twilight Princess more than I thought I would, and whatnot.
It's something that I've heard in a couple different places, actually. People who aren't fans of Zelda games, and, just as strikingly, aren't fans of open-world games, have been liking Breath of the Wild, and I think I know why it is. Because Breath of the Wild, it does some things. It either reworks or chucks out elements that are tiresome from both of those things. It's difficult to describe it in terms that people who aren't intimately familiar with both 3D Zelda and open world RPGs would really understand, but on the open world side, there's a refreshing simplicity and addictiveness here. The kind of stuff that you always get in Nintendo games, really, because Nintendo, for all of their old-fashioned nonsense and their inability to get with the times as far as the internet goes, they are one of the few AAA developers that I know of that seems to remember that as admirable as ambition and originality is, there is elegance to be found in simplicity that should not be underestimated. And that is such a core driving force of their game design that really shows itself here. But on the other side, the Zelda side, the 3D Zelda side specifically, although to an extent the 2Ds as well, when you play a 3D Zelda game, you are mostly thinking inside of a very specific box. There is one way, sometimes two ways, but most of the time one way to solve every problem. And you have to do that exact thing.
Fight the boss with the weapon you got in the dungeon, etc.
Yeah,
etc.
and it could not be more different here. Every situation is a think outside the box array of possible solutions.
Yeah, I think my favorite part of Breath of the Wild is just figuring out how creative I can be with certain situations.
I think a part of it is because they give you so few tools to work with. Like, you get all of your quote-unquote dungeon items in the first hour of the game. Like, it's like cryonis, stasis, bombs, magnesis. Those are really your... you get new weapons all the time, but those really... As for things you can do more creative stuff with, you're given a very limited number of tools, whereas other games, like pretty much every other 3D Zelda game, it's like, okay, you got slingshot, bow, arrow, hook shot, long shot, magic, all this other stuff. You're given...
Boomerang!
Boomerang.
You do get boomerangs, but...
You're given so many options that sometimes it's overwhelming. In this game, you're given a couple of options, and you have to use all of them in very unique ways.
I would describe it differently. In typical Zelda games, you're given so many options, but they're all options that do one thing. Whereas you're given a lesser number of tools here, but each of those tools can be used in various ways. For example, the ice pillars. Okay, you can platform across water with them. Did you also know that you can climb up waterfalls with them before you get the armor that lets you swim up them?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's what I did with them.
Oh, I didn't even think. I knew you could do it, but I didn't think to use it that way.
Yeah.
I found one in a shrine.
Yeah, they can come out of water walls, so you can continuously just keep, forming one in front of you and then climb it as it emerges, and just keep climbing up the waterfall that
and
way.
Even the bombs, which you think would be the most basic fucking thing, right, play into a bunch of physics and timing-based puzzles, because rather than being just a regular bomb with a fuse that blows up after a few seconds, you choose when to detonate that bomb. You can set a bomb somewhere, switch over to another tool, go around, cause some other kind of strategy thing, and then when the time is right, you can detonate that bomb. And it will sit there until you do.
Mm-hmm. There was a shrine that it took me a while to actually figure out that one, how to get a chest in a certain shrine because of that, because I was not thinking in those terms.
I'm pretty sure I know the exact shrine you're talking about too, because that was where I figured that out.
Yeah, it was like raising and lowering levels, and there was one chest I wanted to get to, and I was like, how do I do this without locking myself off from it? And I was like, wait a second. I can get there, place a bomb, switch over, go back to where I need, open up the door, get in, then detonate the bomb, and then all of a sudden, hey, I can reach it now. It's one of those things where you're so used to the old Zelda way that you don't sometimes think of it. You're so used to that. There's only one method to figure something out.
I just love being creative in the shrines with all the things you can do. Like, for example, like one of the shrines, this isn't really a spoiler because it's a random shrine you'll stumble across, but there's an elaborate wind puzzle you're supposed to move a ball around into a hole, and once it goes into the hole, it'll raise a platform, but only when the ball's in the hole. So what I did was, I put the ball at the lip of the hole, froze it in time, ran over to the platform, and once it unfroze, it just went right into the hole. So I'm like, screw you, puzzle.
Yeah, that's the genius of the puzzles in these games. I mean, a lot of games have physics puzzles. Physics puzzles are like,
Thanks, Half-Life.
yeah, they're like weeds growing in your garden these days. But all of the puzzles in this game, well, most of the puzzles in this game, some of them are kind of throwaway. Most of the puzzles in this game are arranged in such a way that there is a specific solution that you're supposed to find, but it's not an obvious one. When you find that solution, there's a real sense of you figured it out, rather than you following the coded instructions the game gives you.
Mm-hmm.
I would just love to like break one of those shrines like I did those number of times to just get to the monk guy at the end, and he would just go, like, I'm pretty sure that's not how you're supposed to do that.
Actually, when it comes to the puzzles, as cool as they are, in a lot of instances, I think that this might actually be an area where, if you're looking for something more along the lines of Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess especially, because that game has a lot of really long dungeons.
Yeah.
If you're looking for...
Yeah, I would say that's the only disappointment I have for the game, is that I'm a big dungeon lover in Zelda, and while there are 4 technically dungeons in the game, they're not really dungeony.
They're very short.
Yeah, I was really surprised by that, because I finally got to my first dungeon last night, and like most people, it was the Zora's Domain dungeon, and I'm going through it, I'm expecting this like huge complex thing, and all of a sudden, like, no, just activate these points and figure out how to get to them. Now, it still took me a little while to figure out, it gave me the control of this one element, and it took me a little while to realize, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do with it. But in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't like huge in that traditional way. It was very compact, very quick. It was surprising.
It wasn't a dungeon crawl. It was more like a much larger shrine.
Yeah.
In that sense,
Yes.
with
Yeah.
enemies in it for a change.
Some shrines have mini guardians, but they're usually not a big deal.
I've found a few.
When a shrine has a sub-boss, the sub-boss is the only thing in the dungeon, in the shrine.
A mild test of strength, or whatever.
Yeah.
The major test of strength took me forever, but then I found the climbing pants, and I was like, oh man, because once you find the climbing gear, traversing everything just becomes so much easier.
I need to find the pants yet.
That's in the major test of strength on the East Coast. So good luck with that.
I swear I did that one already. I swear I did that one.
There could be multiples, but yeah, the climbing gear and the wall run. I don't want to say it's a glitch, but probably oversight.
Just increasing my stamina to 2 full bars I don't feel like I need to, because it kind of feels cheap doing that. It doesn't feel like you earned climbing the mountain. So I don't like doing it too much.
I'm the same way.
Here's the element of strategy that when it comes to climbing tall mountains, and I did this around the dueling peaks when I got to them really early games. It was super satisfying. Although it started raining halfway up and I had to take a break to fight a mini-boss that I stumbled upon by accident. The thing about climbing is you start to recognize as you climb that there are certain slope elevations where you can stop and rest.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at, and you can, even if it's pretty steep, as long as there's some level of kind of a slope, you can hold up on the left stick and let go, and Link will try to run for a second.
And he'll recover a bit of stamina, yeah.
Yeah, and you can just do that repeatedly until you're full up again.
That last one seems like a glitch, but the other one seems like intentional design, and I enjoy that. It makes climbing the mountain... I was actually really afraid about the climbing in this game, and this is especially coming off of Horizon Zero Dawn, which implements the vaguely Prince of Persia-esque Uncharted method of climbing around on things. Is that I didn't really like the...
So everything's a cutscene?
I didn't like the idea of Link being Spider-Man. I mean, not in the double hookshot way, but the climbing around on everything way.
No, he can't climb around on everything, but just most things.
Yeah, it's actually kind of off-putting because there's so few things in the game that you can't climb on. And you start to realize when you're in the overworld, basically everything in the landscape is your bitch. But when you're in a shrine or in a dungeon... Not so much. You gotta actually look around for ways to navigate.
You really miss it.
Link, take some damn initiative and reach up 2 feet.
Well, not even, it's, the frustrating thing about it, the only frustrating thing about the climbing is that it rains all the time. Especially on the east side of the map. It's like, you can't go 5 minutes without it raining.
I love exploring you, but goddamn, stop raining more than Seattle.
It's interesting, though, because there are some times where I felt like the rain actually made an area more interesting. Because I was in an area, I was trying to go to a tower. And that tower was it was up on top of a mountain, and then the tower goes up. And there were little guardian drones all over the place. And there were enemies on the path. And so, since it was raining at that point, I couldn't just, climb up the walls and cheese past it. So it actually, made it a really... kind of cinematic and stressful scene, and I died a whole bunch.
Yeah.
But stuff that I like that in instances like that, I enjoy the rain because it makes me actually have to go through the challenge that they present as opposed to just feeling like I can cheese my way past it. But then there are instances where I'm just trying to get up a cliff I've been up before, and it rains 5 times, and it just takes 10 hours longer.
I'll tell you one thing, though. If there's one thing the weather in this game will make you appreciate, it's Link's ability to make a campfire wherever he wants, as long as he's got some wood and some flint.
Oh, yeah.
Because you can sit down at that campfire and wait until time passes. Just hit the sit command and wait until afternoon or something.
Yeah. The rain, it can be annoying, but like Ted said, there's a lot of moments where it could just be awesome. It ended up being kind of cinematic for me when I went to Eventide Island, and I assume most of you have gone there by now.
Yeah, I went. A Gerudo in the Ocean Village pointed that out to me. So I'm like, oh, there must be something over there. That went over. Oh, I'm going to take away all your shit now. It's like, thanks.
Well, it was kind of cool because when I was going over there, it started raining and I got the thunderstorms and whatnot.
No, that happened to me too. I think that's set.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think that's set. The first
it could
part
be.
of the time you're there.
But it worked to my advantage because when I was fighting, the moblins up top, he was using electrical equipment and it started thunderstorming, and all of a sudden, just hand of God just electrocutes his ass, and I'm like, well, that was easy.
Speaking of rain, it does provide an advantage if you have shock arrows, because shock arrows will do much more damage in the rain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or if you just shoot them into water, I was near the ocean, and there were a bunch of those wireless alphas, so I just shot a shock arrow into the water, and it stunned all of them.
Yeah, and I think this kind of segues into a thing that I have with the game. It's like, even when I have a complaint with the game design, there's usually something about that element of game design that lends something to the game. Like, the big one is the breakable weapons.
Yeah, I thought we would talk about that.
It's a really, especially early on, is a really annoying part of the game. But it does, and Arlo articulated this point much better than I could. So, his video is called In Defense of Breath of the Wild's Brittle Weapons. But it does actually do a lot to encourage variety in gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I want to note is that really they're only like super brittle for like early game weaker stuff.
Yeah.
Once you get to higher level stuff, they'll tend to last longer, and it also depends on what you're using them for. Like, you wouldn't use a sword to try and break over rocks from mining. That'll break them like almost instantly. But using a hammer, they'll last a lot longer.
I've actually run into the issue where my weapons last too long, and I keep on having to pass up. I don't know what to take with me.
Yeah.
That's when you start hunting Korok seeds.
But there's so many. There's so many Koroks.
900!
You say that, like, there's 900, as Ryan says, and I've only found 54, and I feel like I'm finding them all over the damn place.
I found, like, 15 of the goddamn things. Even that has been helpful, because I've been able to get more weapon spaces, and,
Yeah, that's what I would recommend first. Upgrade your weapon stash first.
Yeah.
Also, bows. You don't need shield spots.
No.
Not really.
Well, here's the thing about that is the inventory starts to cost more to upgrade the higher it goes. So
For
once
each
you've
one
got your weapons
individually,
higher,
yes.
then you can spare a single seed on a shield space. Sure.
It's one of those things where it was funny, I didn't mind my weapon breaking all the time early on because, they're weak, whatever, is trying new stuff, but then you get that weapon that has 60 damage and you're like, oh, I want to save this. And it's so nice because I could sneak up on Hinoxes and take them out in 15 seconds.
And then, like, as you complete the dungeons too, you start getting weapons that you can actually have remade for you.
It's expensive,
once they break.
though.
And then,
It's
of course,
expensive.
it is expensive, but like the one that you get from Zora's domain is this spear. There's actually two spears. One of them is the ceremonial fake version, which is weaker, but you can also have that remade for less resources.
Oh, that's because you need that for a specific.
You
challenge.
can actually use the actual light scale spear for that too.
Oh wait, you can? Because I tried using the real one and it didn't work.
Did
really.
you do the downward thing?
I think I did.
Yeah, because you have to paraglide into that attack. You can't just jump and attack.
I at least tried to. I don't know whether or not it worked.
Well, I've read that it works with the light scale. I looked this up after I'd already done it, but I've read that it works with the light scale spear.
The game also gives you a free ceremonial one as long as you look around.
The ceremonial one is
the game actually
kind of
tricks you out though, because it says, "Oh, I dropped it under the bridge." I look under the bridge and there's a normal spear under there, and I'm like, "Is this it?" But no, it's
Nope. The ceremonial one is slightly above.
You do want to
one.
keep the normal spear though, because it turns out you need those to remake the good one.
They respawn though, so you
Yeah,
don't have to
yeah.
hold on to it. That's
You always,
one thing
you always
I'm
go
grateful
pick
for.
whenever you want to remake it. You always go back and pick up one of the ones that have respawned. By the time you've broken it, I broke my first light scale spear in a puzzle, in a shrine puzzle. It was this goddamn physics-based thing where you had to basically play golf with a big stone ball, and you had to be super accurate about it. That was really annoying, and I broke like 2 spears and a hammer on that thing.
No, I love those because what I did for the couple that were kind of like that is I froze time, whacked it a bunch of times, launched it to the front of the shrine, and then just slowly moved it from there.
Well, this one didn't provide that option. You actually had to freeze time and use the.
Are you talking about the one that had like the water in between where you hit the ball? Okay, yeah, that one
that's
took me
the one.
forever because it was hard trying to figure out the exact amount that you were supposed to hit the
Yeah,
thing before
it's
it
like
broke.
as soon as I figured out where to
I must
stand
have gotten lucky then because I just did the whole launch strategy again, and I just happened to launch it like right in the right spot.
Yeah, it's just like I kept doing it, and I'd either fall just a little bit short, or I'd overshoot, and or I'd be just a little bit off on my angle, and it'd go off to the side, even though it was at the right distance. It was so frustrating, and you had to do it twice, because the treasure chest that you get for that one actually has a really good resource in it that you need for a specific thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think I actually passed up on the chest because I spent.
Go back and get it.
Okay.
Yeah, do that
Yeah.
the moment we get off this call. Go back and get it, because you will not be disappointed by what you get there, unless you've
I will never
already
leave a shrine until I
upgraded
have
everything.
all the items. It just feels like a necessity, because usually it really works out for you, or you get something really good for it, and I think it's also more satisfying because it makes the shrines a little bit more intense. Because a lot of times I can get to the monk really easily, but getting those chests, that's a challenge.
Yeah. You gotta do some pretty creative stuff with it too. Like, there's one shrine where you have to where if you don't have any fire arrows, you have to shoot fire through a torch.
I had a fire sword.
That's how you're talking about how I beat the second half of Ocarina of Time, because I couldn't find the god. I couldn't find the god.
The goddamn fire
arrows,
arrows.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I ran into a couple of the shrines where fire arrows were kind of the main puzzle. It's like, I have a fire sword. I don't need to solve your puzzles.
There was one I did need my fire arrows for, and your fire sword would not have worked.
Can I? Yeah, a fire sword wouldn't have helped this either, because it was the objective was to burn down this wooden platform that was way up close to the ceiling. But
I can throw my fire sword.
Well, if you had a fire rod, you could aim a fireball at it.
can we just talk about how excellently this game uses temperature? Because that's another thing that I was a bit worried about, but they did this aspect of the game really well. Not just the fact that there are cold areas and hot areas, and that you have to deal with those with various potions and everything, but stuff like, if you hunt meat in the frozen area, the meat will land on the ground, and then it will instantly freeze, and that counts as a cooked dish that you can eat for heat resistance. Or if you're on
Reverse
Death
is
Mountain,
true for Death Mountain.
you hunt an animal in Death Mountain, and it will instantly cook on the ground.
That's actually used for a joke, because in Goron City there's a shop that sells like fried food, and he says, I haven't been selling much anything once people found out that you could just toss your meat on the ground and cook it that way.
The other thing though is that I discovered this really early on by accident, and you can discover a lot of stuff in this game by accident. It's really great. There was this beehive, and I wanted to take the bees out from a distance rather than going up and provoking their wrath, because this was the beginning of the game. I had 3 hearts. I shot an arrow at them, and not only did it hit the bee, it hit the hive, and the hive landed on something that was on No, what I did was, I think I actually threw a burning torch at them. It knocked the beehive down, and the hive and the torch landed on a mushroom. The beehive was destroyed. I couldn't get the honey. But when I picked up the mushroom, it was cooked. And I was like, what?
Yeah. It's pretty great. It's just all the different ways
Also,
you can do all that stuff.
you blow up crates, and you'll get all these cooked crabs out of it.
Oh, you get those even if you just smash open the crates. It's just the monsters storing their food, I think.
Yeah.
Like that was
Yeah,
actually something I had noticed, is that people were like, "Wow, you really have to work for your rupees in this game." It's kind of weird.
No, you don't.
Stuff is very expensive. You don't find you don't find rupees in the wild very often, but you get so much ore to sell that I haven't, unless if I'm buying like specific gigantic, like a whole new set of armor that's really expensive, I haven't had too much trouble.
I would hang on to a few pieces of the ore, because you do need them for upgrading your gear.
Yeah.
I haven't actually sold any of my ore yet. The only thing I got, I believe, diamond for completing
Yeah, don't sell your diamonds.
Oh well, you can get an infinite amount of diamonds though. You can.
Yeah, but you also have to go mine luminous stones for that.
But you're not
True.
using the
Okay.
luminous stones for pretty much anything else. So.
You're using luminous stones for a couple things, actually. You can use them to dye your clothes, which is a vanity thing. But I think there's also something else that you use the luminous stones for.
It's not just a vanity thing.
Like
Lewis.
luminous stone, What?
It's not just a vanity thing. Link needs to be purple. All right, I've dyed everything I can purple, because purple Link is best Link, and I will not hear anything else about it. Okay.
Can you? I'm curious though. Can you dye the special gear you get from Amiibos, like Ocarina of Time gear?
I don't know. You can't dye the champion shirt. I know that. You could try it, but I bet you they wouldn't let you.
Oh, that kind of sucks. But
I haven't bothered dyeing.
Oh, it's a waste of money and resources, but it's I've been dyeing everything purple because
See, I'm saving up for my house.
the house is great. The house essentially lets you save weapons. And
Yeah, I had a feeling it was going to be that case.
You have a house in Legend of Zelda.
you can get one.
Village.
Yeah.
Hatano
Once
Village.
You go there. You can do a mission where you have to get 30 bundles of wood and 5,000 rupees.
3,000.
3,000, and you get a house.
Oh,
And
okay.
once you buy the house, at first there's nothing in it, so you have to keep on paying the construction workers in order to put more stuff in it.
Oh,
And
okay.
Some of it's cosmetic, like a sign, but some of them are weapon mounts where you can save weapons and shields and bows.
Yeah,
for
so
later.
it's like Skyrim before Hearthfire. You could buy a house in a specific town and store your stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
That's always a handy thing.
That also sounds convenient just for a nice, easy way to take pictures of all your crap. Because
Yeah.
I was shocked when I knew there was a camera in the game, but when I found out about the Hyrule Compendium and where it's like, hey,
Oh yeah, I
take
just spent an
pictures
hour
of
dropping my stuff
everything.
on the ground and snapping pictures of it, and that's how I
Exactly.
found out that if you drop a hightail lizard, it tries to run away.
I had a feeling that might happen with certain stuff, so yeah, I try to.
So next week's episode of Cribs, we're at Link's place.
But
Oh, man.
yeah, I'm addicted to just taking pictures of everything because I like to have it filled up, and it would be useful. Like, oh hey, I need this for this thing.
Yeah, like you can use
track it
the
down.
once you've upgraded your Sheikah sensor, you can use it to detect anything that you've got a picture of in your compendium, which could range from useless mushrooms or throwaway equipment to really important, hard to find shit like a specific kind of like a luminous stone ore deposit or a regular ore deposit or a treasure chest. Yeah, you can home in on treasure chests.
or rare enemies or stuff like that. Like,
Yeah, specific
it's-
enemies, specific wildlife, basically anything that you took a second to take a picture of is fair game for the upgraded Sheikah sensor.
Oh, you know what you could also do is you could use it to if you're in Hyrule, the Hyrule Field area, where you're where there's guardians all over the place. You could set it off so that it'll beep whenever a guardian gets close, so that you're not instantly freaked out by that beeping and that music starting to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that little piano piece is like, oh fuck, what spotted me now?
I've yet to kill a guardian. I got close, but
I killed one, and I'll
loot.
tell you how I did it
I've-
because it was one of the earliest things I did in the game. Yeah, I had 4 hearts at the time. Okay.
Oh, God.
The tower north of the Great Plateau, the one in Hyrule Field, I went there first.
Yeah, that was the first one I went to as well.
Here's how I
that
did
was
it.
a dumb idea.
Yeah,
Here's how I did it.
I went to the
I had
Kakariko one.
the bow that you get at the top of the Temple of Time when the king talks to you. I hadn't used it yet. I had a stock of arrows, and I had one food item that would recover stamina. I hid behind, on the first level of the tower, I hid behind the railing, and I arced my arrows up over, and just repeatedly shot it with that bow. It broke on the last shot, and the thing blew up on that shot. I went over, collected my spoils, climbed back up, and then without one stamina-boosting food item, and my stamina was at its base point at this point, I climbed the tower. I edged around just to one side, barely got out of the way before getting shot down by a laser, and managed to make it up to the top with barely any stamina remaining after eating that item.
Jeez.
And I activated the tower, and it paid off much later on because there was a memory that you could retrieve very close to there, and I was able to just warp back to the tower and glide to it.
See, I walked there because I knew
Yeah.
that's the only place I was knew I could find a memory, and I was like, all right, we'll brave this field and actually go up there so I can continue this quest and figure out if there's anything else or an indicator for me. And I found out later that yes, there is, because I stumbled upon another memory in just another section in the east, and it was it's just this glowing spot, and I was like, oh, what's this? And I clicked it. Here's a memory. It's perfect. So
I did like the memory sticks, but that was also kind of confusing because this is kind of a spoiler, I guess, but not really, in that all the character stuff they showed in all the trailers, 95% of all of
These
that are
flashbacks.
memories.
Yeah, flashbacks.
Yeah.
That's where it's just because that's where most of the new characters are really most
Yeah.
of the major characters, the one that they've got voice acting for. Like the only character from the modern era that I think they prominently showed in the trailers was Sidon, the fish guy, who everybody on the internet loves because he's
I
your fish,
believe
he's
in
your
you.
bro. He's your-
Sidon is awesome.
Believe in the me who believes in you.
I love him. He's the best. But
He is such a bro.
He is.
don't
and-
worry about Guardians later on, because once you get to the Akala Tech Lab, you can buy Agent Arrows, and those one-shot Guardians.
Yeah, I'm looking. I'm
yeah.
trying to find the Call of Tech Lab so I can use the rest of my Guardian parts that I have to upgrade more of my Sheikah
It's
Slate.
expensive. It's expensive.
It's expensive, but so worth
Oh yeah,
it.
I don't care.
Actually, you can't upgrade your runes anymore. You can't upgrade Cryonis or Magnesis.
You can only upgrade them once.
yeah, but I still need like I forget her name, but the girl in Hateno upgrades half of the runes, and I'm
Oh
assuming
no!
the guy
As far as I can tell, you can't. He doesn't upgrade your other runes. He doesn't
really?
upgrade
No, he doesn't.
Magnesis
No, he
and Magnesis and Cryonis just can't be upgraded. And I mean,
Oh, okay.
granted, there's not much.
I
they
don't know
could
what you would
to
do.
up-
Yeah,
I mean, range, I guess, is the only other thing they could do, but that could end up breaking some puzzles. So,
Yeah, the Magnesis and Cryonis are plenty useful on their own. Getting the stasis upgrade is probably going to be worth it since it lets you freeze monsters.
not
But
for long though.
It also refills a lot
Yeah.
faster.
yeah. I need one more core so I can upgrade my stasis.
yeah, well, so do I. We're like at the exact same point in the game at this point.
It's really funny because we are at very similar spots, but you've encountered stuff that I've never experienced, and I'm sure I've done stuff that you've never have, and I love that element to it.
This game, okay, I really wanted to talk about this because this game, even though Nintendo hasn't done this kind of open world RPG before, at least not to my knowledge, they really get open world structure. And that sounds strange to say, I understand, but you really need to nail the structure in an open world game. Otherwise, you get something that's just sort of bland across the board like Fallout 3 was. Or you get something that chucks a fucking frost troll at you in the middle of a plot quest like Skyrim does. Fuck that fucking frost troll. The thing about this is there's a specific prescribed direction that you're probably going to go your first time, unless you are the kind of person who goes the other way on purpose.
Yeah, there's a reason why so many people got to Zora's Domain first, and it's because the game says go east to talk to Impa. And if you're going east, you're going to explore all of east and find Zora's Domain first. That's just how these things work.
And you won't miss anything important to your experience, and you'll probably have a fairly comfortable ride if you very loosely follow that prescribed direction and just sort of deviate in little wavy lines.
Yeah, that's what I did. I just stayed within that. I got to the tower, opened up that area, and then just explored that area leading up my way towards Kakariko. It took me a fair amount of time to get to Kakariko. And then, of course, you get there and you open up Hateno. And I'm like, all right, let's head towards Hateno and do something similar at least. I wanted to get there at least a bit. And then when I got, again, the picture-taking ability, I was like, oh, crap, I will always go this way because I need this camera immediately.
Well, you could pay for your compendium.
Oh, you could? I didn't know you could pay for it.
You can pay to get a random picture out of every category and fill it
I
up
have not
that
found
way,
that
but
yet.
you don't want to do that because you're going to need a hell of a lot of rupees by the end of the game to get the fourth and final Great Fairy unlocked.
Oh, okay. I love the Great Fairies, by the way.
Derrick, to get that option, because there are some things you can miss. Like, I think I missed one of the boss's pictures. But so to do it, you just have to talk to Pura's assistant and do his quest. And
Oh, okay. I think I talked him.
Yeah.
Did I finish his quest or not?
You're supposed to take a picture of Waterblight Ganon before you kill him, huh?
Yeah, I did actually do that. I was like, can I take a
Oops.
picture of him? And I did. And it was like, oh, awesome.
Welp,
It wasn't a great picture because he was coming right at me, but I got him.
I had a feeling before I left that dungeon that I was missing
Watch
something
out, he's
important.
coming right for us.
So I
man.
made sure to take a picture of the Gerudo dungeons boss after that. My order so far, I'm working on Goron stuff right now, but I've done so far Zora and Gerudo, and I'm doing Goron. I'm saving Rito for last because from the memories I've seen, the Falcon the Rito champion is like Falco, but only even more of a dick, and I didn't even know that was possible.
Oh, but the thing you get from him is so damn useful.
Oh, his weapon? No.
No, the ability you get.
My top priority right now is the Master Sword. So.
Oh, I can get the Master Sword right now. I'm choosing not to because, like, we were talking about the weapons before. I feel like if I got the Master Sword, I wouldn't use the other weapons, and it would take away a part of the game.
It does make the game significantly easier because the Master Sword does not break. What it does is it has an energy charge, and when that charge runs out, it gets knocked down to half attack power, which is like 30, as opposed to 60, and it takes 5 minutes to recharge. So
That
you
seems
have
fair.
incentive to use other weapons, but if you get it too early on, yeah, it's probably going to break the first half of the game in two for you.
Yeah, and I don't want that crutch. Is the real thing. So
I just want to naturally stumble upon it.
I do kind of like how it requires a certain amount of hearts. I don't know if that's intentional in that they don't want it to break, just you to run right there and break the game, or if it was a reference to Zelda 1 where if you can master it, you can have it, sort of thing.
This is sort of a vague remake of the original Zelda.
only good this time.
Kind of. Well, to be fair to Zelda 1, that was 1986.
Yeah.
Ryan, I have a question, and it's been burning in my mind ever since I found out the specifics of the Master Sword. Can you throw the Master Sword at enemies?
I actually haven't tried.
Blade of Evil's Bane, sword that seals the darkness. Chuck!
Okay, here's the thing. Throwing melee weapons is actually a really effective tactic.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
it uses the same mechanic as the boomerang. The only difference is the boomerang will attempt. It won't always happen, but it will attempt to fly
I
back
have
to you and
never
you'll have
got
to
the
catch it with
boomerang
the
to
A
come
button.
back to me.
And enemies can also catch the boomerang out of the air and take it from you.
I just beat him with it.
You need an open... If you're like in a forest, you're not getting it back. It needs a wide open plain. But the boomerangs are kind of finicky, honestly.
They're
Like,
useful if you can hit with them, though. So once you've mastered them, they're pretty damn impressive. I've gotten some good use out of boomerangs. I've also gotten use out of throwing near broken claymores at an enemy's face, because when you throw a melee weapon at someone, it does a fuck ton of damage.
And if it's about to break, it does even more damage. So you've got a weapon that's about to break, just chuck it at an enemy.
Yeah,
it'll
you
do
get
the
one
job.
last smack out of that weapon. It's very satisfying.
Yeah. I agree 100%. It's, hold on. Oh, yeah. It's, sorry, I'm gonna change the topic for a bit, but one of my favorite things just stumbling onto in this game was the Lost Woods, because damn, that place is creepy.
For once, yeah.
Yeah, I have not gotten to the Lost Woods yet.
Jesus Christ, it is terrifying going through that place. Like, they don't, like, the first part of the Lost Woods, it's pretty obvious to tell which way you have to go. Because, like, there's...
But then the torches stop and you're like, oh, fuck.
The only way you can really tell, like, you can tell when the fog's about to get you because the music amps up. So, but that's really your only hit. You really do feel lost. It's not, there's no cheery do-do-do-do-do-do.
There is a visual indicator besides the torches and the fire. The particle effects in the air blow with the wind.
Oh, they do? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I noticed that when the fog was starting to gather around me, like, that was my cue. Oh, crap, I better go out of the way.
This is what you need to do while you're going through the Lost Woods. Watch the particles. The moment they start moving in a different direction, stop and reevaluate the wind.